Welcome to another episode of the Live by EG podcast. I'm Jacob Lahr, worship pastor here at Encounter Grace Church. And man, I'm excited. I'm so excited, y'all, because with me today is the man, the myth,
yes, sir,
the legend.
I'm back.
He's back. He's back from his secret.
The DJ one.
Hey, I got that somewhere here.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is it?
Oh yeah, we did.
I have it here. Wait, where'd it go? Oh yeah, ready? It's Freddie Tello. Yeah.
All deployment. We would say something, and I'd be like, burr, 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 burr.
Anytime somebody says something fire.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Man, how you been, Fred?
Been good.
I feel like it's been forever.
Forever. I get here, and I just so happen to get here the day the cold front decides to come in, and I'm just like going from hundreds to just straight really just cold weather. I'm like,
weather.
Oh, no.
Wait, is the heat over? Okay, well, I know you can't say where you're at, but was the heat over there dry, or was it humid?
Oh man, it was both. Most of the time, it was like super dry heat, and it was like 128 degrees. Crazy heat. It was 7 in the morning, and it's already at 107, 108 degrees. I would get off like at 9 in the morning, and I'm just like walking really fast because it's like already 111, 113. I'm just walking fast.
Then you're in your gear and everything.
Oh yeah. And then closer to the end, like the weather's starting to change, and you'd wake up and it'd just be crazy humid. Like I'd step into the hallway from where my dorm was, and it's just super humid.
Is it because y'all were by like an ocean, a body of water?
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. We're by a gulf, and yeah, it was just crazy humid. There's one because I used to work out with my hoodie on just so you can get a little extra sweat.
Yeah.
And there's one time I'm like, man, both my hoodies are dirty, so I'm just gonna leave it. And I thank God I decided not to do it because I walked out. It was crazy humid, dude, and I was just out there running, and I was drenched in sweat, and it was horrible. But yeah, it's completely different. Two different dry heats and humidity.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. And then you come back, and then you feel the nice brisk
yeah
in the air.
Yeah, we lucked out because whenever we flew out, we went to Germany, and we're like, oh no, it's October in Germany, and usually it's super cold. Well, we got lucky; it was like 70-something degrees.
Oh, dang!
Like, nice. Then we went to Baltimore. We're like, oh no, it's Baltimore, because the week prior we were checking, it was like 40 degrees, 30 degrees here and there, and we pulled up and it was 76, and we're like, all right, this ain't too bad. Everybody packed hoodies and like long sleeves and ton of warm clothes, and then
it was literally a warm welcome.
Yeah, warm welcome until I got to Lubbock, Texas.
And it got cool.
Day one, it got cold.
Yeah, and it was windy too. Like we were here at prayer Tuesday. Yeah, and I literally I told Brittany, I was like, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick because she was watching baby, and I go in the restroom, dude, and then I come back out. And I just look outside, and this wind's just blowing. It looks like a haboob. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
I wasn't in there that long.
We're in Dallas because I had to finish in processing. I was in Dallas, and we were coming in from supper, and just a huge gust of wind came through. And then around the same time, we got an alert on our cameras back at home, and there's a ton of wind. And I was like, the cold front just came in all at one time.
You're like, all right.
Yeah, I guess we're in it now.
The cold made an entrance is what it did. But man, dude, I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't know, if you've been watching but you didn't see Freddie since then, me and Freddie started this podcast, and it's been kind of hard to
OG.
He's OG, and it's been hard to bust out episodes without him. Shout out though to everyone that took part of these episodes that we were doing. They were really great. Matter of fact, I got some memorabilia. If you see behind me, the Ninja Turtle, the Ninja Turtles. Shout out to Carrie Lyra.
Yeah, the studio's completely changed from the last time I was here.
Yeah. You can even take a little look back in the background. You can see it. Got a shelf and added some more foam and stuff. But, I had somebody ask me, where's your podcast located? I was like, it's in our church. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, it's in our church. It's one of our rooms. We just converted it into.
Changed it up. Yeah.
But yeah, man. But anyways, shout out to everybody that helped out.
They were really good episodes. I watched pretty much every single one. I think I missed one, That was because we had some Wi-Fi issues out there.
Yeah.
And then I never got to watch it.
I was hoping that we could get you like streaming from where you were at, but our hours were just so off, man.
It was like as y'all were waking up, I had to go to sleep. And I was like, all right, it's either I sacrifice some sleep or vice versa.
Yeah. So if you're trying to figure out where Freddie was at, we're not going to tell you, but he was on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
I don't even know
7,000 miles away.
Yeah, he was far away and on the other side to where we were just off on our hours. But anyways, Manfred, it's good to have you, bud.
For sure.
So tell me, man, what do you think about? Okay, so I was asking the Lord, like, all right, what do you want us to talk about today? And do you remember that movie, Me, Myself, and I?
Me, Myself, and Irene?
Yeah, that one.
Irene, yeah.
So I don't know why I said Me, Myself, and I. Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I titled this one Me, Myself, and I, but that movie is kind of weird.
It is, 100%.
But I was thinking about that movie when I was titling this, and I couldn't remember the name of it.
You said it, and as I was smiling, like gums. I've been smiling this whole time, and I went instantly to the scene where he had cotton mouth and his teeth are all.
Oh man,
yeah, it's a good movie.
It's funny. Well, I call this Me, Myself, and I the center, or excuse me, the center, the root to all grief. Just because I don't know if anybody ever goes through this. I know teenagers go through this a lot, where you think you're the main character in this entire world. Like it's like you're in a sitcom and you're the main character. Cameras are always on you, and not necessarily just because I know as a teen, most teens kind of go through that. But when you get older, it becomes like you are you may not even mean it this way, but it's like things revolve around you.
Yep.
And so all of a sudden, life just becomes. I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel like people who go through this, number one, are easily offended.
Yeah.
Like, because everything's apparently revolves around you rather than the world is bigger than you, man.
Oh, way bigger. 100%.
I don't know. But I know that, I've dealt with this. I won't put a front. I've dealt with this issue in my life. Like, you just kind of like, man. And I look back and I'm like, man, I was kind of sensitive like during that time. Like, God.
Yeah.
And, I've learned to laugh at myself.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like life is so much better when you learn to just laugh at yourself.
At it, yeah.
Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, when you go through things, everybody goes through things. Like, you're not the only one. But I want to share with you the scripture, and it's in Proverbs. Now, let me see if I can read my notes here, because it's in Proverbs chapter 13, and then verse 10. It says, "Only by pride comes contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom." Okay, so pride comes with contention. In other words, it comes with a lot of strife. And when you live a life full of strife, listen, we all go through it, right?
Right.
But what is strife? Because strife, it can actually be something that can be avoided. If you think about it, when people live life with a lot of strife, you might need to check yourself and say, do I got some pride issues?
Yeah. For real. You're talking about that thinking you're the main character, and man, the last time I could think about when I dealt with that was I was getting out of active duty, right? And I had like so much like anger and stuff because I wanted to stay in active duty the full time, and I got force-shaped out. I just pushed the button to get out, volunteer to get out early. My leadership at the time was like giving me a lot of like paperwork, and I was like, I'm way better than this. And my troops really liked me at the time, and a bunch of different scenarios lined up. And I remember leaving, and I was getting ready to leave, and I was like, this place isn't going to be able to run without me, because I poured so much stuff, and as soon as I leave, they're not going to be able to handle inspections and handle all these different things. And then as time was getting closer for me to actually leave, I was like, well, what am I thinking? Like,
Yeah.
this place has been running since like, the beginning of the Air Force. And I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base. That base alone sent out the nukes for Hiroshima.
Right.
Like,
oh, really?
That plane
I didn't know that.
came out of there, right?
I didn't know that.
And that was way before I was even born. Like, this place has been running perfectly fine, and it's gonna run perfectly fine without me even being there. And it just humbled me to know that I'm very minuscule to a giant, bigger plan. Like, even though I want to be, everybody wants to be a hero, everybody wants to be the center of attention, you are still just a piece in a bigger plan. And once you humble yourself and put yourself as just a small piece into a bigger puzzle, then you can finally realize, okay, we need to just calm down on the whole, I'm the main character idea.
It almost like it puts this weight off of you where you're like, dang, like I'm stressing about stuff that was working fine without me. You know,
perfectly fine.
You know, it's funny you say that. There's times where, like, okay, maybe a month ago, I didn't schedule myself to play or sing on the worship team, and because I try to give myself a break too. Like I try to make sure everybody has some kind of break here, you know, on our worship team. But I remember when I took a break and I was just in the congregation worshiping. I mean, I was just so like blessed by how the worship team just like flowed. Everything was beautiful. And it was just God reminding me, like, listen, you don't have to, because I have this tendency. And I mean, and I know if any of my worship team members are on there, you know, you can shout amen, all right? I won't get offended. But I have this tendency where after every song, I feel like I'm supposed to minister and say something.
Right.
And God is like reminding me, like, hey, I've called these other guys to, you know, to lead worship too, not just you. And so, like, you know, that Sunday, it was a fresh reminder, like, oh yeah, the worship team, like I didn't mean for it to revolve around me, but I just God reminded me, like, it doesn't revolve around you. I'm like, well, duh, but I think I accidentally made it that way for some reason. Yeah. And it's like how you felt, like, man, the worship team they'll get down without me. Like, they don't need me as long as God is in the midst of it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's like the transition to I don't know if this is gonna coincide with your topic,
you're
but
you're good.
it means you're in the transition of leadership. Once you can take yourself out of being the main character and you're trying to develop other people to be at the standard that you're at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I finally hit my maturity level, where I'm not focused on myself and trying to be the best person I could possibly be, and sitting there turning around and let's work on the team. Let's create the team to be able to perform at its highest potential, pretty much. And once you step back and be like, okay, it's not about me, it's about us. And then that shows that you're more into a leadership spot. And that transfers to anything in life. Like that transfers to like my military life, to just being at work, to my family, to anything, the ministry itself. So
that's good. No, that you're right, and I feel like that's what we're called, you know, to build other people up.
Yeah.
You know, not just to build. I mean, if we're so focused on building ourselves, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like, you know, as a Christian, you want to build your relationship with God, but God also wants you to bring people to Him.
Right.
So in order for you to do that, you know, you've got to be able to, you know, train people up, and you got to be able to disciple people, and disciple yourself, and building each other up. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Consider others higher than yourself." And I think that kind of coincides with what you're saying. Is like you're not the most important person; other people are. You know, and when you learn to love other people in that regard, then you know you can build something special.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy to think like the way the way the machine could work so much better if you were considerate of the person next to you instead of yourself. And if everybody's doing that, then everybody's getting so much more out of it than you just focused on yourself.
But I think it's the culture we live in, right? Because I think about it, you know, you're always looking at you're always looking at the LeBrons or the Mahomes. You're looking at those like, but man, that person can really bring it, you know. And when that person comes, things change. And
they're the game changer.
They're the game changers, right?
Yep.
But then it's like sometimes we want to be that game changer.
Yep.
And then in the process of wanting to be, you know, something great, we push people to the side.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've actually admired about Mahomes is he's a phenomenal player, yes, but he kind of took on the same what am I trying to say? The same mentality as Tom Brady, who is the GOAT of football, right?
Yeah.
Which was, instead of taking all the pay, he's saying, hey, I'm getting all this money, but don't give it to me at once. Let's stretch it so that way all my other players can get paid. And he's like not about himself. You know, a lot of people would think otherwise because Mahomes gets all the love. But if you look at the cap, like the salary cap and how that works, I know I'm talking football right now. Sorry for those who don't know, but if you think about that, you know, he's basically sharing his money to give to other players so that his team can be better. You know,
And that's huge.
And you got some really great players that are on some sorry teams because they take all the pay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
But I think that you know, again, that kind of honestly that's full circles back to, you know, me, myself, and I. You know, when you are the center of everything, then it does cause contention and strife. Think about this. I'm not against. I don't know how you feel about this. I'm not necessarily against college players getting paid. I know there's a lot of older folks that would disagree, and I get it. I do, because for years that's the way things were, right? You just went to college. You played college sports to get your education, not to get paid.
Right.
But as college sports has evolved and it's gotten a little bit more competitive, I feel like that does kind of merit some, you know, some pay. I get it. You know, these college kids want to get paid and be appreciated for putting their bodies on the line, basically, is what they do. Even though they're getting a free education, but you know, they're still getting some money, and that's fine. I'm not really against that. But what I do find like could be an issue is like when, you know, man, that quarterbacks, they got like a $5 million deal.
Yeah.
That's probably too big. But in college, you're seeing college players getting paid like millions.
Yeah, that's like, crazy.
They're getting paid just as much as a rookie. In pros.
Yeah,
even more. I don't know how. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because like it's a weird line where you're like, you can split off this way and then split off another direction, where you can be for it easily and then you can be easily against it.
Yeah.
The whole football thing. But we can get back into the topic. My bad. I was about to start drifting off that direction.
Oh, I mean, we could. I mean, it's because I've actually heard, you know, so I kind of sometimes I'll follow podcasts with sports, college sports, and when the NIL did come into, you know, fruition, that was one of the things that they did talk about was there was tension in locker rooms because, man, that's so and so, and they get, you know, they got so much money. They got so much money. One thing that I do appreciate about Tech, shout out to Tech, is they have something called the Matador Club, and so they disperse like I think it's like $25,000 or $30,000 to every single player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like everybody gets paid the same.
No way.
Yeah, so they get some kind of cash, but there are stipulations, which is they got to do some community service. They have to, you know, go and do things for, you know, schools once in a while, which is cool, man. I mean, everybody gets paid the same, and you got stipulations. So it's not about me, myself, and I. It's about the team. The team gets played. Everybody gets a, you know, fair share. Now, these players get their own deals. That's on them, you know. But at least they know even the walk-ons, believe it or not,
really
get a part of that cut.
Dang.
So I think I'm gonna go walk on.
Those days are over.
Get murdered, man.
I'm not gonna lie. We were at Dallas and we went bowling. Dude, I'm like so sore. Like my back
from bowling.
Like, yes, I was like, why is my back sore? I'm like, I'd been working out for 6 months, but I guess I just wasn't training for bowling.
Yeah. I who was it, man? One of our youth, Gavin. Yeah, it was Gavin. He's a built kid, man.
Yeah.
And he came up to me. He goes, "Hey," you think you can beat me in wrestling? I was like, I don't think I know. I'll lose to you in wrestling, man. I was like, I'm, I said, I struggle to get out of bed, Gavin. Sometimes, like, I'm sure you can take me down, no problem, dude. Like, I'm not working out or anything, man.
I'm a locomotive, man. I'm like slow to get going.
Hey, but when I get going, man, I thought you better watch out.
You better watch out because I can't control it.
I really can't because this weight just kind of carries me over. No. Me and Brittany went on this deal where we tried not to drink Cokes or any kind of sodas. We did great for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we broke that fast like no other, man. But we did learn a little bit of self-control.
Yeah.
We're not drinking Cokes every day.
Yeah.
But I messed up last night. So I'm not even gonna lie to you. Got home and
Man, so overseas, any building you go into, there's a cooler. Like there's a refrigerator of water. Water's everywhere.
Okay.
So it's just easy. Just drink water. And you get a soda every once in a while here and there. But you're trying to not do that so you won't dehydrate. And pass out,
right. Especially if it's that hot over there.
Yes. Like you're trying to stay hydrated as much as possible. And then I was telling Jessica, like we got back and I was like, oh, let's just go back to the normal soda here, soda there. And it was like the second day, I'm already drinking soda. And my body's just like freaking out. Like it's like, please give me some water. Like that's all I want is just some water.
Yeah, man. Even for those 2 weeks that I stopped drinking Coke, when I drank Coke again, my body did freak out too.
Yeah.
But in like a going to the bathroom way, and it hurt. It hurt. Sorry, that's probably too much information, y'all. Man, if y'all are watching, give us a shout out. I see some people watching, so we love you guys. But yeah, man. So there was something that I thought was pretty interesting. Okay, I don't know if you know this story, but do you know the story of like Moses when he hit the rock and the water came out? Do you know a little bit about that story?
Yeah, some of it.
Well, what's up, Myra? Myra's watching. She said, hello, church fam. And thank you, Myra, for the 2 ducks. We got 2 ducks now.
Yeah, dude.
I got like a pet farm now. Like, I got 4 chickens and 2 ducks.
I saw the video of Cheeks with the ducks.
Oh, he loves ducks.
He thinks Gunny's a cat.
Yeah, and he thinks our little. He's thought this since he started talking.
Yeah,
like anytime he sees Gunny is a little black Chihuahua. By the way, she's the ugliest thing in the world. but every time he sees her, he goes meow, meow. And we're like, oh my god, she's not a cat, and she's never meowed. Like I'm like, son, she's never meowed, but he's convinced that she's
that's a cat,
and maybe she is. We don't really know what Gunny is at this point. Sonny said, "My ducks." Yeah, we're gonna make sure that at least one of them. If I hope that they're both females, because if one of them's a male,
oh dude,
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
But anyways, man, those ducks are precious, and I actually like them. I've come around to liking animals because Brittany like isn't. If it was up to Brittany, we'd have pigs, we'd have goats, we'd have a horse,
Dr.
cow.
Doolittle.
Yeah, we and then I'm like, no, because I mean, don't you know the economy we live in right now? I told her that the other day. I was like, I can barely afford to feed us. No.
If anything goes down, y'all got.
Well, yeah. If anything goes down, we got some chickens and some ducks.
And ducks.
And then if we run out of that, we got Gunny and we got our dogs. No, I'm just kidding. All right. No, I don't want to go there. No, I was going to say something, but I better not.
Let's get on to the grief section.
Yeah, let's get on to the grief.
Moses and the water.
There we go. We got off track. Moses. Yeah. So Moses hits the rock. I always thought that Moses, because, after he hits the rock, God basically doesn't allow him or even the older generation to go to the promised land. So Moses doesn't get to see that. And I always thought it was because he just hit the rock. Because if you read in scripture, God tells him to speak to the rock and then the water would flow. But check this out. I never thought about this. But when, because the thing that you have to remember is Moses Moses was how do you say this? He was meek, but he was super influential. And by meek, I mean like he wasn't weak. Okay, don't get meekness confused with weakness.
Right.
Meekness was very humble, like you were saying earlier, and very like, calm and not aggressive.
Yeah.
But God did like these incredible things through him. Now, check this out, because I want to talk about this, and I specifically want to talk about the term pride because we're talking about self-centeredness. We're talking about me, myself, and I, right? So we have to redefine what pride is. It's not just thinking you're better than somebody else, but in the simplest terms. This is interesting. Now, I want your thoughts on this. But it's not just thinking you're better than somebody else, because we've been talking about that side of pride, right?
Yeah.
But in the simplest terms, it is seeing yourself as the center of everything. Self-centeredness is really the root of all pride. So in Numbers 12:2, Miriam and Aaron, Moses' sister and brother, came against him. They were criticizing him because of an interracial marriage. So they were actually giving him a hard time because he married into a different, race during that time. And then so they're giving Moses a hard time, and they were saying, hath the Lord indeed spoken unto Moses, had he not spoken also by us? The scripture then says in parentheses in verse 3 that Moses was the meekest man on the face of the earth. Instead of taking offense at what they said, he began to pray and intercede for them. So he didn't take offense at what they did. So that I'm kind of building something up here, but check out this next thing here, because we're talking about Moses hitting the rock, right? So pride isn't just thinking you're better than everybody else. It's self-centered. It's like having a stick. Okay, check this out. It's like having a stick with arrogance on one side. And here's the other side of pride. Get this, okay? It's like having I lost my place here. Man, I need reading glasses, y'all. This is bad.
You have glasses on.
I have glasses on, but these are not working for me. Where did you go,
It's
line?
okay. My contacts mess up sometimes. I'm just like,
all right. I was trying to be slick and keep my phone down, but here we go. Okay, here we go. I lost it, man. I can't find it. This is bad. All right. Most people think you're true. Okay. Pride isn't just thinking you're better than. Okay. So it's like having a stick with arrogance on one side and low self-esteem on the other side. All right. Those are the opposite expressions of the same thing. Low self-esteem is still pride.
yeah.
But they're both on the same stick. Okay. Everyone else, you're absolute. So it doesn't matter if you think you're better than everyone else or worse than everyone else. You're absolutely self-centered.
That's crazy.
So everything gets filtered through that. A timid, shy person is very proud and self-centered, thinking only about their self. So think about this for a second. We think of pride as, and I'll get back to the striking the rock thing here in a little bit. Sorry, I kind of lost track.
That's a really good point.
But I wanted to bring this up because here it is. When we think of prideful people, we just think of arrogant people.
Yeah,
but we never think of timid people.
Timid people. That's crazy. I never thought of that.
Yeah. Because when you're shy, you are still thinking about yourself. You're just thinking about what other people think about you.
Yeah. Like everybody's watching me right now. I can't go into that room because everybody's gonna be looking at me.
Right.
That makes me so nervous and this and that. That's a ton of pride in yourself.
It's another form of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you are still the self. You're still thinking about you're still thinking about me, myself, and I. You're still worried about what other people think about you. So I remember I had a conversation with somebody on our worship team years ago. And they were like, I hold back because I'm afraid of what other people think. And I just don't want to come off as being like too much or, oh my gosh, she's just doing this or that. And I remember I told this person, I said, look, you don't realize this. And I remember, and God reminded me of this years ago But I told him, I said, look, if you're worried about what other people think about you, then you're actually being prideful.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
It didn't make sense at the time to that person at that when I first said it. But then I realized that it started clicking. It even clicked for me. Like, it was one of those things where you say it and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait.
That's facts. Like,
that's real.
I didn't think that was true. I mean, it just came out.
Yeah.
But God, like, spoke to me in that moment. He's like, if you're worried about what other people think about you, then you are prideful. And so I told him, I said, you're not there if you believe you're called to lead worship and to sing, then do it. And present your gift, not to the people, but to God.
Yeah, exactly.
And hey, you're not perfect. It's not like we're paying you millions of dollars to record a track and we're just gonna criticize you if you hit that note wrong. Like, no, this is unto the Lord. And you know what? It's not about just your notes. It's not about your presentation. Where's your heart?
Right.
And even if you believe in yourself that you're being humble, I think we've blurred the lines of humbleness and shyness.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, that's 100%. There's a blurred line where they're like, I'm humble because I'm not doing it because this and that. And then the shy part, dude, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Let me just go into I was looking up a Bible verse just a second ago. Philippians 2:3-4.
Okay.
Do nothing out of self-ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of the others. So it goes back to like what we're talking about. If you're more worried about the person next to you and not so much worried about what you are doing yourself, and that goes with doing your best to I want to be so shy because I'm not going to sound good or this and that based on praise and worship. If you implement this word alone, it takes away that pride. Let me see what else. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
No, that's true. And you know what? I've just never thought about it this way. And we actually did a study on this in our young adults because as a young adult, I know that young adults will go through these things where they might they're entering life and they're going through all this stuff, and so like life does seem to feel like it's revolving around them in that moment. Right. But I told him, I was like, man, if you just focus on Jesus and you focus on your relationship with God, you're not going to worry about what other people think about you. You're not even going to let yourself get in the way of what, God wants to do in your life. But that's a hard thing because, as a young adult, you got all this, there's just, life is just so fresh still, like your ambitions and the dreams, the goals. And so it can be exciting, but in that, you've got to remember that life is bigger than you. And you got to learn to say, hey, wait a minute, if, somebody needs my help, or if I'm called, to help somebody, or if God is telling me to stop what I'm doing so that I can help, be the good Samaritan, then stop and remember that life is way bigger than you.
Right.
And then on top of that, just for those that may struggle with, timidity or shyness, especially when it comes to ministry, I feel like in general, but when it comes to ministry, I feel like that's something that you really need to consider. For me, so when I was younger, when I was a teenager, if somebody would have told me, hey, Jacob, you're going to be leading worship every Sunday and Wednesday, and you're going to be teaching youth and blah, 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 or even preaching on a Sunday, I would have like, nah. Because I didn't really care for that. Yeah. Like I didn't want to be on a platform. I was like, dude, when I took speech class in middle school, I was the most horrific thing I experienced. Because I did not want to talk to people like in front. I didn't, dude. Like I love to be with my friends and hang out and laugh and gig, but don't ask me to do those speeches, dude. Like so because I cared so much about what people thought about me. And I didn't even realize that. But when God gave me my breakthrough was when he showed me, quit caring about what other people think about you. Even when you do mess up, even when you do just royally screw it up, because you didn't prepare or because you just, your mind went blank for a second. It's not the end of the world, man. Like when you mess up, your life,
Yeah.
you still got life.
What about the other side of it where like I hear the don't care about what other people think about you, and I see the other side where people take that and it's a dangerous line where you start doing things because you don't care what other people think. You know what I mean?
So maybe what we how we should word that is consider others more important than yourselves.
Yep.
But don't care about what they think.
Yep.
When you do those things, like,
in
other words, I look at it this way. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Whenever I go and do outreach from time to time, this is how I try to put my mindset is I'm going to go and ask people if they want prayer. Some of these people are probably going to be high on drugs, hungry, tired,
right?
Whatever, stinky, don't matter. But I'm prioritizing them above myself.
Right.
However,
taking yourself out of your comfort zone.
There you go.
Because you're trying to better their lives.
Exactly. However, if they reject any help, if they reject what I have to say, that's not going to keep me from loving them.
Right.
I'm not going to care about what they think about me. I'm just going to be concerned. Can I help you? Can I serve you?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good point, though, man.
Yeah. I see that dangerous like line where it could easily be drawn into because you get that the teenage mindset where it's like the rebellious, where they're like, "Oh, I don't care what people think about me," and they just go out and do whatever they want to do, and that can easily be misconstrued into doing those certain things. And I think putting the word back into it to where you are considerate of the people around you, and like, let me see, like how the scripture I was reading, in humility values others above yourself. If you value others above yourself, and you have the mindset of I'm not worried about what people think about what I'm doing, and it's to value the people around me outside of that, and taking that and not changing it to something malicious. Right.
That's good. I honestly didn't think about that as we were saying. Then you brought that up because that could be a misunderstood, and then people can take that the wrong way and say, "Well, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and I ain't gonna care about what anybody thinks." And that's not valuing. That's not valuing people higher than yourself. You're right. And so I think that scripture is important. And this whole thing is learning how to value others above yourself.
And I think, man, we talked about you're talking about being able to speak in front of people, and being a teenager. You said teenagers, it's a new life, and it's like they're new to life and trying to experience things. That's the part of it. Like they have yet to experience some things. So yes, you're in a comfort zone. And they take stepping out of the comfort zone of being timid and shy. Yes, those are natural feelings to have, but in order for you to grow, and this is what people lack understanding, is in order for you to grow, growth means pain, means stretching something out. And so yes, you have to step out of that comfort zone and grow from it, and speak in front of people or talk to somebody and get a no. Like no's aren't bad. In order to understand life, you have to get no's and you get yeses. You have to feel the good and the bad in order to. If you get yeses all the time, you're never gonna appreciate the yes. If you never get
that's good.
No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. That's really good. Hey, and I know this is my dad. I can tell when my dad or my mom are talking on here because he called you Fred. He said, "Welcome back, Fred. Just joined in." No, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, you're right, man. Because if you just stay in that comfort of always being accepted and never being able to get out there and learn, how rejection. I mean, think about it. Scripture Jesus says, if they reject you, they rejected me first. Like, it's okay to be rejected.
Yeah.
It's okay to hear the no. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
I got a funny story to tell you real quick. So we were doing a outreach here in this neighborhood. And it was like one of my first times like going out and helping like pray for people. And we were going door to door, like knocking, dude. And if there was like a no soliciting, we would respect that. We just put a flyer in their fence or whatever. But I got two funny stories actually about this. But anyways, the first part is this, that there was a young man who was kind of like, he was just hunched over, sitting on the sidewalk. And then shout out to Justin. He said, big shout out to my boys.
My boys.
Shout out Justin. So he's just sitting on the sidewalk, kind of like hunched over, and he looks kind of like down, And we were driving in the van, and I was sitting by the door on the van, the church van. And I can't remember who was driving, but they're like, hey, Jake, go pray for him real quick. And I was like, because this is my first time doing this, like going out and praying for people. It had gone okay so far. Like I got to, I was welcomed into a couple of homes. We prayed. Some people I just prayed for them out there, but it was still like nerve wracking for me. And I felt it in my gut, like, man, he don't look like he wants prayer, man. And I was like, okay. And I get out the door and I'm like walking to him, and I said, hey man, how you doing? Can I pray for you? No, leave me alone. I was like, okay. And I turned around and I walked away. I was like, that was
you're sweating.
I'm just sweating, dude. But you know what, man? I still, you know what's funny is after that day I prayed for him. I was like, man, Lord, I'm praying for him. But in that moment, I was like, man, and I felt the Lord remind me of that scripture. It's like, it's okay. Like,
it's okay.
Rejection's not the end of the world. You got to learn to, learn to be out there and receive the no's.
Step out of your comfort zone sometimes.
Step out of your comfort zone, man.
Two story. Okay. I'm going to step one story.
Okay.
I told this story a while back, but Aiden, like he was like 12 or so, and I'd be like, all right, son, order your food. He's like, good.
Like at a restaurant or something at a restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
He's like, chicken dinners basket. He's like, all right, dude, it's fine. Just get used to it. And then I'm like, all right, here's the debit card. Pay for your stuff. And he's like, and he finally got to the point where he's just like, it makes sense. Like I'm with my friends and they can't even order for themselves. They want me to do it. And
what?
I'm like, they don't want to pay for at the counter because they're scared. I'm like, I pushed you past your comfort zone.
That's
now
cool,
it's
man.
it's the norm for you. So you're way ahead of your peers. You know. My second story.
Oh man.
We're at Minchie's. Minchie's, if you don't know what Minchie's is, it's a frozen yogurt place, and they have toppings galore. And so it's me in line, a random guy right next to me, and Jacob standing next to
I
my
love
left.
this story. Man.
And I'm just throwing toppings on, and the guy like trying to pick. And I'm like, man, there's so many toppings to pick from, huh? And he just looks at me and like turns and walks off. I'm just like, all right, good talk. That's the story. That's the story of rejection that you reminded me of, like going up and talking to somebody. It's too funny. Now it's a running joke where we're always like, all right, good talk.
Dude, that was so funny. I just remember your face because I was like, I heard the whole conversation and how he just walked away. You just like turned and looked at me like,
all right, good talk.
Oh man. Now I got the hiccups, y'all. This is bad. No, but anyway, sorry, man. Those are funny stories.
Yeah.
I wanna take you guys real quick. So we're talking about me, myself, and I. The root to all grief is your pride. It's your stubbornness. It's the fact that you want things to revolve around you, right?
Right.
And it has two different sides, right? We talk about the obvious side, which is pride, which is the arrogance, which is the the very haughty. And then the other side of it is timidity, right? Shyness.
Yep.
What is everybody thinking about me? Because that can go both ways. But I want to take you guys back because this is and this is I feel like this is gonna really like, bring it all together. So earlier I told you guys about Moses, right? And I was how he struck the rock, and I just thought because he struck the rock, he was done. I want to read it to you real quick. So I'm gonna go to Numbers chapter 20 and verse 10. It says, "Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, 'Hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock?'" Okay. Now I skipped the beginning where God tells Moses to speak to the rock, but I want you to catch this. Okay. So let me read it again. It says, "Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, 'Hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock?' And Moses lifted up his hand and struck the rock with his staff twice, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their livestock. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, 'Because you did not believe in me to uphold me as holy in the eyes of the people of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land that I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where the people of Israel quarreled with the Lord, and through them he showed himself holy.'" So I want to go back for a second. Look what the Lord says to Moses. He says, "Because you did not believe in me." He didn't say because you didn't strike the rock. Think about that. He said, "Because you did not believe in me." So go back to what Moses says. And this is what he says. He says, "Hear now, you rebels, shall we," which he's talking about him and Aaron, "shall we bring water to you out of this rock?" Nowhere did he try to give God any glory in that. Nowhere did he say, "God is fixing to provide water for you." Moses was frustrated. This is the meekest man that the Bible said lived on the earth during this time.
And you put him to a point of frustration.
He was so, so mad and frustrated with people that all of a sudden, me, myself, and I took place. And he got in the way of what, God still moved, right? God still gave him water. But God said, "Wait a minute, you didn't believe in what I told you. I told you to speak to the rock." And it wasn't even just that. But look what God says. He says, "Because you did not believe in me to uphold me as holy in the eyes of the people of Israel." See, there was a purpose behind what God was trying to tell Moses to do, but Moses was so frustrated. And part of that was because all of a sudden Moses was letting things revolve around him rather than God. And strife. You guys, like, if strife gets in the way, it has to be because of pride. And you have to be able to recognize that and say, "Yo, I'm in a place right now where I am getting in the way." And I've got to get myself out of the way. Or else, if you're in church, listen, if you're a minister and you're watching this, take heed, because this can also, you have a duty to uphold God as holy. Do we not, right? When we serve here at church, we have a duty to uphold God as holy. It's not just the pastor's duty, right? Everyone that serves, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're teaching the kids, or you're security, or you're doing connections. We have a duty to uphold God as holy before people that are coming in. And if we get in the way, if me, myself, and I get in the way, then we end up striking the rock, and we unintentionally take the glory. And because we're like, "I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna get this done." And that's a sorry attitude to have. Don't let that get in the way of what God. I always pray this, man. I was telling one of the youth that we were counseling yesterday, I said, "I always pray, God, please get me out of the way." I've heard our pastors pray this prayer as well. We always say, "God, get us out of the way so that you can say what you want to say." I don't know, but I always thought that was really interesting, man, because I just thought, well, because he struck the rock, that was it. It wasn't just that he struck the rock. It was what he said when he struck the rock.
Dang.
And so I found that very interesting, because, again, if we come full circle, Moses, his contention and strife took place because he got in the way. He got in the way, man.
It says in the NIV it says trust. I think what was the word that you said?
Believe.
Believe, yeah.
Believe, yeah.
You say because you did not trust in me enough. I think that it's a little bit harder. The trust wasn't there.
Yeah. That's what version is that?
NIV.
NIV, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And that's essentially what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't trust
You just didn't trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's hard sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Because when we get in the way.
Yeah, we get in the way, man. That's crazy.
That's good, man. Well, all I know is that the more you lean into God, the more you learn to trust in Him. I think sometimes we struggle to trust God because we don't know Him enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, man. I don't.
Yeah, you put everything that you don't know, you're gonna fill it in with your own thoughts and your own conclusion. And if you just read the Bible in its entirety and apply it, everything applies to itself. Just how we came up with the what was the thought that we just had
about
applying Philippians.
Oh yeah. About considering others more valuable than yourself.
Yeah. That whole portion.
Yeah.
If you didn't understand and apply that portion of the word to I'm drawing a blank right now. I didn't get breakfast this morning.
Oh, man.
I didn't have my weed.
Here's some coffee. No, just kidding.
Let me go back to it.
Applying to, are you talking about applying the principle of
it was the not caring about what other people think.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
If you hear that and you're not applying the rest of the word to your life, you're just going to go, I don't care what other people think, and you're just going to go in the wrong direction. But you take into consideration the entire word and applying every single bit of it, you're going to be in a better direction. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. No, that's good. So in essence, we just want to encourage you, if you're still watching, thank you if you're still watching. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Don't forget that the world doesn't revolve around you. If it revolves around you, it's going to be strife, contention,
right.
And you are going to be kind of reckless, right? You're not going to care what people think in a reckless way. But when you value others more than yourself, then all of a sudden, everything that you say and do actually should have there should be intentionality, and then you should be able to do it without worrying about what are they going to think or what are they going to say. As long as and if I can just sum this all up, as long as you're doing what God has told you to do, as long as you're doing what God has called you to do, and that that's what God's called you to do, then don't worry. If God is telling you, hey, in this moment, I need you to, help, so-and-so. In this moment, I need you to just go pray for this person. I don't know how many stories I've heard in the past where somebody's like, I prayed for somebody at, McDonald's or at a restaurant, and I was really scared. But when I prayed for them, like, they needed that prayer. And they, cried. Matter of fact, I heard this one story, this guy who was in prison, and he was coming out of prison, and he said that there was this really, scary guy that was just sitting by himself, big guy. And he said the Lord told him, go pray for that guy. And because he got saved in jail, and he was like, no, like, God,
you don't know who this dude is.
He's probably going to kill me. But he said
Debo.
that. Yeah, it's Debo, man. Like, he's. Oh, man. I just think of Debo's eyes when cross-eyed. No, but God moved in him, and that moment, man, he led that man to the Lord.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he said he still keeps in touch with him. I'm trying to remember who. Oh, Lance. I think it was Lance Orocha. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, but there was somebody who told me about this story, and I thought it was a really awesome testimony, man.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, but man, Freddie, it's been a good one, man.
Yeah, it was a good one. 8 months, 6 months, 8 months in the making.
8 months, man.
Yeah, it's been 8 months, I think. No, we did another one in March when I got to come back for a couple of days.
Yeah, that's right.
So we did. Like 7.
It was like a little here and there.
Yeah.
we got a lot of awesome stuff to talk about, y'all, and I promise you more episodes are going to be busted out from the studio. And then I know we got some other folks that I've been wanting to do podcasts with. Shout out to Dan Olson, man. That man's got a lot to say.
Really?
Like you get that man talking, and he can talk. He's got some really interesting things. That he's got an awesome testimony, and I'm still getting portions of it. But he's a really he's a really cool guy, and he's got like we were talking about new age stuff.
Oh yeah,
like he was into like crystals and all that weird stuff.
Yeah,
but he's got like interesting things to say about it. Like, huh, okay. But yeah, and then shout out to just everyone else as well that that's been on or that you want to come on. Let me know. We can get you in the podcast. And man, you know what? Speaking of that, I want to shout out to David Garcia because I got to get that dude in the studio. David's an interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, he is.
And then his hair is just so majestic. So.
Yeah.
No.
It smells like cinnamon.
Smells like cinnamon. He's got that freshness when he walks by. He whips his hair. You get that whiff. Like
random.
Oh man,
there's random fans blowing in all the rooms all the time.
All of a sudden, his hair is just blowing. I'm like, where's the fans at?
How did you turn that on?
Angela's got a fan following him everywhere. Huh? No. All right, man. Well, anyways, one of these days we got to get your brother in here.
Yeah,
dude.
For sure.
We got to get Josh in here, man.
The whole gang.
The whole gang. Seth, I miss you, but I don't know where you're at. You're hiding. Yeah, that's okay.
He's in hibernation.
But we'll go find him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, Freddie, got any last words before we head out, man?
I'm glad to be back, and we'll stand by for some more episodes coming.
Let's go. All right. Well, hey, EG family and friends, don't forget to live, love, and lead by
example.
We love you.
Yes, sir.